Hello and welcome to our channel. We are delighted to have you with us and look forward to exploring together interesting and valuable topics that will help us all improve our lives on all levels. The title of today's topic is Strategies for Prosperity, Happiness, and Success. The Steps to a Satisfying Life. By the end of the presentation, you will have an understanding of the key strategies that contribute to your well-being and happiness. You will have learned how to create a positive mindset that supports your ambitions and dreams. You will have understood that success is not just the result of hard work, but also of the right approach and attitude towards life. You will be able to implement practices that will enable you to live the life you truly desire and achieve the inner peace and outer well-being you deserve. You will be able to recognize opportunities, overcome challenges, and evolve daily on all levels, exploring the beliefs that limit us. The beliefs we hold about ourselves and the world around us shape our reality and the way we perceive situations. These beliefs are our invisible guides that determine our behavior, our reactions, and our ability to achieve our goals. When our beliefs are limiting, they create obstacles on our path to success, happiness, well-being, and prosperity. The path to our personal development begins with acknowledging and accepting these limiting beliefs. Beliefs such as "I'm not good enough" or "I don't deserve success" are common and often associated with negative emotions and fears. These thoughts limit our potential and keep us in a vicious cycle of doubt and failure. Usually, these limiting beliefs have no basis in reality and are products of our imagination or social and cultural expectations that we have incorporated without questioning them. It is important to realize that our beliefs are simply thoughts that we have repeated so often that we believe them to be true. The process of finding and changing these beliefs begins with self-observation. We need to recognize when our beliefs are limiting us and review them carefully. For example, we may believe that we cannot achieve a goal because we have failed in the past. This belief, if left as a doubt, will continue to hold us back and prevent us from trying again. However, if we replace this limiting belief with a more empowering one, such as "failures are lessons that help me grow," then we change our own perspective and how we perceive progress. An important step is to recognize how our beliefs influence our behavior. If we believe we are not capable of achieving something, we will avoid situations that cause us to doubt. If instead, we believe that we can learn from every experience, we will be more willing to take action and face challenges. Our beliefs directly affect our self-esteem and self-confidence. When we understand that beliefs are just thoughts that we can change, a whole world of possibilities opens up before us. Accepting that limiting beliefs are not truths but fleeting thoughts is the first step to freedom. From there, we can actively work to change them through self-awareness, positive thinking, and reprogrammed perception. The truth is that we have the power to recreate our beliefs with the same ease that we created them in the beginning. And when we do this, we create a new self, capable of achieving our goals and living a life of happiness and well-being. Practical example. Let's look at the example of a person who always believed he was not good at communicating, and therefore avoided participating in public discussions or presentations. Whenever he was in front of an audience, he felt uncomfortable and feared that he would fail. This limiting belief held him back and prevented him from showcasing his abilities. However, he realized that his belief that "I am not good at communicating" was not an objective truth, but merely a thought he had repeated many times. So, he decided to start working on his self-esteem and reprogram that thought. He started to participate in small conversations and practice his speech. Each time he gave a presentation, he focused on his progress instead of perfection. Soon, he began to see a difference in his confidence and his relationships with others. He learned that communication is a skill that can be developed and that limiting beliefs are just obstacles that can be overcome with fortitude and effort. The power of self-confidence. Self-confidence is the key to changing our beliefs that opens the doors to success. When we believe in ourselves, our potential has no limits. Conversely, when we doubt our abilities, we limit our progress and prevent us from achieving our goals. Self-confidence is not something we are born with. It is a skill that we can develop and strengthen over time. It is the result of believing in ourselves, recognizing our abilities and accepting our weaknesses as part of the growth process. Self-confidence does not mean that we believe we are perfect or infallible. It means having confidence in our ability to learn from our mistakes and move on. When we believe in ourselves, we can overcome life's difficulties and challenges with greater ease. Confidence helps us to make decisions, take action, and move forward despite the uncertainties that may be in our path. One of the key components of confidence is positive thinking. When we adopt a positive attitude towards life and our goals, we set the stage for success. Positive thinking does not mean that we ignore difficulties or challenges. Rather, it means that we have the confidence that we can overcome them and that we have the tools and strength to do so. Confidence is boosted when we manage to remain optimistic and focused on achieving our goals, even when things don't go as we expected. Self-confidence is also linked to our ability to set realistic and achievable goals. When we set goals that we can achieve, we increase our self-esteem and strengthen our belief in our abilities. The process of achieving these goals creates positive emotions which further boost our self-confidence. Conversely, when we set goals that are too ambitious or unattainable, we may experience frustration and doubt our abilities. Achieving small, achievable goals helps us build our confidence and keep moving forward. Self-confidence also has a direct impact on our behavior. When we believe in ourselves, we exude confidence, which positively influences those around us. People who are confident often take on leadership roles and gain the trust and respect of others. Self-confidence affects our relationships, our work, and even the way we perceive everyday challenges. When we are confident, others notice, and this creates a cycle of positive energy that empowers us. Developing self-confidence takes time and effort. However, it is a process we can all follow. Through self-awareness, positive thinking, perseverance, and dedication, we can boost our confidence and achieve our goals. The road to success is full of challenges, but with confidence we can overcome them and get to where we want to be. Practical example. Let's look at the case of a young entrepreneur opening his own business. At first, he doubts his abilities and fears that he will not be able to compete with established businesses in the market. However, he decides to work on his self-confidence. He starts to set small and achievable goals, such as acquiring the first customers and offering excellent service. Over time, he sees the first positive results and begins to believe more and more in himself. His self-confidence grows, and this is reflected in the quality of his work and the success of his business. Although the challenges are many, his confidence helps him to stay focused on his goal and eventually achieve his goals. How to turn fears into strength. Fear is one of the most powerful and natural reactions we have as humans, especially when we are held to negative beliefs. It is a survival mechanism that alerts us to danger and motivates us to react. However, when our fears are exaggerated or unwarranted, they limit us and keep us from success, happiness, and personal growth. The secret is not to try to eliminate fears, but to learn how to manage them and turn them into strength. Our first reaction to fear is often to avoid or deny it. We believe that if we don't face it, it will cease to exist. However, this way of thinking is not only ineffective, but also dangerous. When we avoid fear, we give it more power. Whereas, if we acknowledge and accept it, we can begin to understand and control it. Fear is not our enemy, it is an ally that guides us. With the right approach, it can become the driving force behind our greatest successes. The first step to turning fears into strength is to accept fear. When we acknowledge that we feel fear, we shouldn't feel ashamed of it or consider it a weakness. Fear is natural and human. Acknowledging it is the first step to managing it and not letting it take over. When we accept that we all feel fear, we begin to see it as part of the human experience, rather than something to hide or be ashamed of. The next step is understanding fear. Many times, the fears we feel are exaggerated or inaccurate. Ask yourself what exactly is causing you fear. Is it the unknown or failure? Is it the idea that you are not capable? When we understand the root of fear, we can deconstruct it and replace it with rational thoughts and positive beliefs. For example, if our fear is that we will fail at a new job, we can review it and realize that every failure is an opportunity to learn and improve, not a disaster. The third step is action. The first step to turning fears into strength is to accept fear. If we wait until we feel completely safe before we move forward, we will never act. Instead, it is through action that we overcome fear. Even if we feel fear, when we take the first step toward our goal, we realize that fear is not as scary as we thought. Every step we take, even if it's small, strengthens us and helps us grow. With recognition, understanding, and action, we turn fear into strength. Our fears become the fuel to move forward and achieve our goals. When we understand that fear is not something to be feared, but something we can use in our favor, we have the real power to succeed. Practical example. An example is again the case of a man who has always been afraid to speak in public. His fear was so intense that he avoided any presentation or speaking in front of an audience. However, he decided to face this fear and turn it into strength. He began speaking to small groups of friends and family. When we understand that fear is not something to be feared, but something we can use in our favor. One example is again the case of a man who has always been afraid to speak in public. His fear was so intense that he avoided any presentation or speaking in front of an audience. However, he decided to face this fear and turn it into strength. We understood acknowledging his fear without letting it control him. Along the way, he began to realize that his fear was not as scary as he had imagined it to be. He accepted that he had the right to make mistakes and that continued practice would make him better. Soon his confidence grew, and he began to speak to larger audiences with greater comfort and effectiveness. The fear that once held him back was now his strength to grow and succeed. When we understand that fear is not something to be feared, but something we can use in our favor, we have the real power to succeed. Practical example. An example is again the case of a man who has always been afraid to speak in public. His fear was so intense that he avoided any presentation or speaking in front of an audience. However, he decided to face this fear and turn it into strength. He began speaking to small groups of friends and family. Emotional intelligence as a tool for well-being. Emotional intelligence is a hallmark of people with positive beliefs in their lives. It is a concept that is gaining more and more recognition in modern society, as it is recognized as one of the most important characteristics for the well-being of an individual. Although we usually focus on cognitive skills and success in the professional or personal sphere, we analyze our fears with a rational mind. And fear is not our enemy, it is an ally that guides us to grow and achieve. The fear that once held him back was now his strength to grow and succeed. When we understand that fear is not something to be feared, but something we can use in our favor, accepting fear is the next step to action. The next step is a bit different because it focuses on how people can use fear to combat big obstacles. When we understand that fear is not some emotional intelligence plays a key role in our ability to manage the contradictions of everyday life, maintain strong relationships, and experience well-being at all levels. Emotional intelligence plays a key role in our ability to manage the contradictions of everyday life, maintain strong relationships, and experience well-being at all levels. Our contradictions are helpful and a practical example of how our ability to manage the contradictions of everyday life. Even though we often focus on cognitive skills and success in the professional or personal sphere, the fear that once held him back was now his strength to grow and succeed. Our fears become the fuel to move forward and achieve our goals. Emotional intelligence plays a key role in our ability to manage the contradictions of everyday life, maintain strong relationships, and experience well-being at all levels. Emotional intelligence plays a key role in our ability to manage the contradictions of everyday life. Although we usually focus on cognitive skills and success in the professional sphere, emotional intelligence plays a key role in our ability. Emotional intelligence refers to the ability to recognize, understand, and manage our emotions, as well as the emotions of others. This ability allows us to react appropriately to emotional situations, deal with challenges calmly, and enhance our well-being. Individuals with high emotional intelligence are able to create positive interactions and develop better relationships with those around them, which is critical to their mental health and well-being. The first area of emotional intelligence is the recognition of emotions. Many times, emotions affect us without us being aware of them or fully understanding them. The ability to realize what we are feeling and why is the first step to managing those emotions in a healthy way. For example, if we feel anxiety, by recognizing its cause, we can look for ways to reduce or relieve it, rather than letting it take over and hinder us in our daily lives. The second area is the management of emotions. Once we recognize our emotions, we must learn to manage them in a way that works for us. Emotional intelligence requires the ability not to suppress emotions, but to control them and use them positively. If we feel anger, for example, instead of lashing out, we can look for ways to vent creatively or give ourselves time to calm down and think before reacting. The third area concerns the ability to understand the emotions of others. This ability strengthens our relationships by helping us to be more empathetic and aware of the needs of those around us. With emotional intelligence, we can recognize and respect the feelings of others, which creates a more favorable climate and strengthens our personal and professional relationships. Emotional intelligence is not only important for human relationships, but also plays a crucial role in our personal well-being. A person who is able to manage their emotions, have positive relationships with others, and understand their emotional needs is more likely to be happy and enjoy a strong sense of well-being. Emotional intelligence enables individuals to maintain balance, cope with life's difficulties with resilience, and live a more satisfying and fulfilling life. Practical example. Let's imagine a manager in a company facing intense stress due to deadlines and pressure to perform. If this manager has not developed emotional intelligence, he or she may express his or her discomfort in a negative way or transfer the tension to his or her colleagues. Conversely, if the manager is able to recognize his or her stress and manage it, he or she may seek strategies to relax or communicate with his or her colleagues to better organize their work. He can also be more empathetic to the needs of his employees, creating a supportive and productive environment. Developing this emotional intelligence will not only help him achieve his goals, but will also improve the atmosphere in the team, enhancing overall well-being. The habits we adopt on a daily basis determine the quality of our lives. It's not the big changes that bring success, but the small, consistent actions we repeat every day. First, organization and planning. When we have a clear plan, we reduce stress and increase productivity. Second, positive thinking. Instead of focusing on problems, we see difficulties as opportunities for growth. Third, gratitude. Appreciating the small moments in what we have helps us feel happier. Fourth, good time management. When we use our time wisely, we accomplish more without unnecessary stress. Fifth, physical care. Exercise improves not only our physical health, but also our mental health. And finally, emotional intelligence. When we understand and manage our emotions properly, we have better relationships and greater peace of mind. Example: a person who wants to succeed in technology starts his day with exercise, organizing his priorities, practicing gratitude, and constantly evolving. With consistency and persistence, these habits lead him to success and prosperity. Epilogue: by utilizing the strategies and principles we have discussed, you can create a life of success, happiness, and prosperity. Remember that the choices you make today determine your future, and that change starts with you. Every step towards positive change is a step closer to achieving your goals and dreams. With perseverance, self-awareness, and the right mindset, you can shape the reality you desire. Remember that life is a constant process of learning and evolving, and the most important thing is to remain open to new possibilities and embrace the challenges that present themselves. We wish you to apply what you have learned and continue to evolve, create, and achieve.
Thank you for watching this video and dedicating time to your own well-being. Health and well-being are not just the absence of problems, but the active care of all aspects of our lives, from financial stability and self-care to personal development and managing our goals. Remember, well-being is a journey, not a destination. Every small change you make, every positive habit you incorporate, and every goal you set contributes to achieving a balanced and fulfilling life. Apply the strategies we discussed. Adapt them to your personal needs and watch your life transform for the better. If you have any questions or want to share your experience, leave a comment below. Remember to subscribe to our channel for more videos that will help you live a full and happy life. Until next time, take care of yourself and be well.